doing, and welcome back. If you are new around here, then hi, nice to meet you, and if you're returning, then thank you very fucking much for coming back. My name is Alana and I'm a 30-something lady in Scotland, and that is where the accent's from. And I do like the odd sweary word on this channel. That is your word of warning. If you don't like the words fuck, shite or bugger, you don't like to hear someone swearing, then I probably will. I've just got one of those terrible mouths. I'm really sorry, it just kind of rolls off the tongue when you're Scottish. But this was going to be my monthly roundup video, but I became really quite unwell through the month of August, and for that reason I do have a couple of bits and bobs that I've been using through August to talk to you about, but also I'm just going to do a little bit of a catch up on where I've been, because I am aware that the videos have been pretty sporadic over the last 2 or 3 weeks and I have not been uploading as much as I would like, and I have not had a chance to film as much as I would like. So if you're interested in that and you haven't been here before, then there is a little subscription button down in the corner there if that sounds like your kind of thing. If not, don't fucking worry about it, it's alright. We're not going to force you, we're not into that kind of thing here. Do grab yourself a cup of tea, a coffee, whatever the fuck you want, and a biscuit if you so wish, because I do like to ramble, that's just the way I am. We're going to have a little bit of skincare and makeup here, but this is really just going to be a little bit of a catch-up video, and if that sounds like your kind of thing, then just keep on watching. So first and foremost, yes, I have had a haircut. You can see, got the length chopped off. I know I said, oh, I'll maybe take it like really short. It's not super short. I've got a curl through it, so it probably looks a little shorter than it was. But this is the length I usually have it, sitting around about here. So I just thought, okay, let's go back to as it was, and I did get it coloured again, so that was quite nice. But let's have a little chat about where I've been and what's been happening. Today I've got a cookie crunch slice digestives. If you don't know me, I love a biscuit, if I'm honest with you. Love a wee sweet treat. But actually that's probably a good segue into why I've been unwell while I eat a chocolate biscuit. If you are new around here and you haven't been following me for any length of time, then this might just look like your average beauty channel. We talk about skincare, we talk about makeup, we talk about all that lifestyle kind of bullshit. And to a certain degree that is probably true. But the reason I always kept my channel kind of AltogetherAlanna, talking about anything about me, was because I do like to every now and again chat about how I'm feeling, chat about my health, chat about things like that, anything to do with me, which makes sense, right? And if you haven't been here for any length of time, you might not know that I am type 1 diabetic. I am also someone who suffers with, well, not suffers with, that's the wrong word to say I suppose, but I have had a congenital heart defect and it has been fixed when I was younger, but it is something that continues to be monitored. I do suffer with hypertension and I have mitral valve regurgitation as well. I've got quite a lot going on health wise, but I also am a nurse, so it kind of, it's one of those things, sometimes ignorance is bliss. When you know more about something, it can be almost overwhelming and terrifying to a point, because you know when something isn't, or it's abnormal, you know about it quicker than someone maybe just thinking, I don't feel too right. So basically the first start of August, everything was going hunky-dory, everything was grand. I was quite the thing. And then about, I think around about the 20th of August, I must say, I just started to feel terrible. Now the long and short of it is, I don't really know what happened. I didn't have COVID because I took a COVID test straight away and was like, got tested for it when the lateral flow test came back negative. Didn't have COVID. I just felt terrible. It was horrific. Nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, and all that lovely shit. Just delightful, I know. If this is a little TMI for you, then this channel might not be for you, and that's quite alright. We're going to let you away with that, that's okay. You can feel free to skedaddle. But if you want to talk about some real life shit and talk about it quite graphically and openly, then I'm your gal. But basically around about that time I was feeling very unwell. I got sent home from work. I had a terrible migraine, which sometimes I do suffer with, and I had this terrible migraine. I thought that's coinciding because one of my migraines I also get sickness and nausea, which isn't great, especially because some of my migraines are brought on by low blood sugar. If you're feeling nauseous, it's very difficult to eat if you've got low blood sugar. Those two things don't combine. I am a type 1 diabetic, and the reason I kind of mention that is because when I went on to Instagram stories and was like, hey, the reason I've not been around for the last few weeks is because I've been quite unwell with my diabetes, a lot of people messaged me and asked me about it, because They just didn't even think about the complications that that might have an impact on someone if you've got nausea, vomiting and diarrhea. If somebody gets like gastroenteritis or some sort of bug in the system that makes them nauseous and vomit and have diarrhea, then 9 times out of 10 it's going to take 2-3 days. Maybe at an extreme you might become a little dehydrated and have to go to hospital and get a drip. Sometimes that happens, even if you're young, sometimes that happens. It is more detrimental to older people though when they become dehydrated like that. But for me, as a young person, you look at me and you think, oh, okay, you've got a stomach bug, you've got a little bit of a flare up or something, and you will get through it. Just make sure you can take sips of water, try and do what you can. When you've got diabetes, it just complicates matters so much. So as I've already said, if I am vomiting or not feeling like eating, then I am going to have low blood sugars initially. And then the problem comes that if you're not taking any nutrients on board, if you're not eating anything, the body goes into starvation mode and then starts to produce things called ketones. And for diabetic people that can be very dangerous, life-threatening in fact. So diabetic ketone acidosis, or DKA for short is what I'm going to call it, is something where your blood sugars actually go very high and you produce these items, these things called ketones in the blood, and it's like an acid in the blood. Long story short, because I don't want to get too technical with this, is that if I have ketones in the system, it can make me very sick very quickly, and when they get to a certain level you need to be hospitalized. And as I said, a lot of people had messaged me on Instagram and were like, God, I didn't realize like diabetes was that serious. I think a lot of people don't actually understand type 1 and type 2 diabetes. There is also gestational diabetes, there is also diabetes insipidus, which is something else altogether. But for the kind of umbrella term for the purposes of this video, I think the diabetes that a lot of people hear about in the media, hear about on the telly at the moment is probably type 2 diabetes. Type 1 diabetes is still very prolific, but I don't think that is what is being pushed in the media at the moment. I think a lot of it is to do with type 2 diabetes, which could be said is more of the older diabetes or lifestyle induced diabetes or obesity induced diabetes. And I'm not here to shame anybody who's overweight or who is a bigger person and is happy in their body, that is fine. But scientifically there are papers and studies, several thousands, hundreds of them, to show there is a clear correlation between being very overweight and having diabetes, type 2 diabetes. And at the moment, type 2 diabetes in younger people, children in fact, because of obesity, is becoming a rising problem worldwide. So I think that is what people are hearing about a lot at the moment. So it's all about cleaning up the diet, it's all about making sure you're active, and that is absolutely true. I'm not saying anybody has to be a size 0 model. It's just about being healthy, eating the right foods, getting a bit of exercise, getting active a couple of times a week. Nobody says you have to be a size 0, but equally, if you do make sure that you are healthy, and I'm not talking about BMIs either, because quite frankly, even as a nurse, I know that's a load of shit, because I could be an athlete who is super duper like tuned to the moon and, you know, go to the Olympics, and my BMI could say that I'm obese, because it's about weight, it's standardized against male bodies. It's not a good system, to be honest with you. The main reason BMI is used within the NHS in the UK is actually to determine if someone is underweight. It very rarely looks at anybody being overweight. So we're not using that, we're not talking about that, but what I will say is science proves, there are scientific studies and it's been proven that type 2 diabetes can be caused by obesity, can be just caused by old age and your body slowing down a little bit as well, poor lifestyle choices, bad eating, stuff like that. That is not the type of diabetes that I have. I have type 1 diabetes, which is caused by an autoimmune dysfunction. It is an autoimmune disease, and there is no rhyme or reason as to why it happens. It's very frustrating, and it's actually the reason why there is no cure for it. It is more of a managed situation. So type 2 diabetes can be managed with tablets. It can be managed with diet and exercise, losing a little bit of weight, just having better diet, and you might not need tablets. And type 2 also can be managed with insulin injections if the first two options, the lifestyle and diet and the tablets, don't work. Then you can maybe move on to insulin. With type 1 diabetes, which was what I have, I don't get that choice. Doesn't matter how well I eat, although it helps if I eat better and exercise just in general, like all people should be healthy, it won't take my diabetes away. Basically, when I was 12 years old, my body came up against a virus. I don't know what. I don't remember having a virus at 12 years old that made me feel really unwell. I didn't go to hospital at 11 or 12 and around that time period and think, God, yeah, I've had a virus. I didn't feel unwell. But for some reason or another, whatever it was in my body, maybe genetically, it decided to attack itself. That's where the autoimmune part comes in. So my body thought there was a virus in my pancreas, in the part that is called the islets of Langerhans. Don't worry about that word, you don't have to remember it. But in that area, it attacked it. And that is the area that produces insulin. So therefore, my body does not produce insulin. I don't have any. If I don't get any, I will die within probably 24 hours. So I find it very difficult as well. I've spoke about this before, the fact that places like America where people can't get access to free healthcare or just access to services that they need to live, like not even, you know, it's not like people are looking for a boob job. Like if I don't have insulin, I will die. That is what will happen. If I don't have insulin in my body for anywhere between 2 or 4 hours, I will be in the hospital. I will be critically ill. I potentially could be in intensive care. It's a very serious situation. So that is the type of diabetes I have, and it's not one that I can change. There's nothing I can do about it, but what I can do is manage it, and I do that with insulin. Now, as I said already, type 2 people sometimes move on to insulin, but with type 2 diabetes, it is more about insulin resistance. So you're producing insulin maybe still, not always, but you might be producing insulin to a certain extent. When you're told, oh, you have type 2 diabetes, you may be producing some insulin, but the cells are not uptaking the insulin the way they should to turn any kind of carbohydrates or sugars into energy so that your body can utilize it. They're not doing that appropriately. Insulin is like the key. Insulin is like, how do I put this? So your pancreas releases the insulin, right? And the food you eat, then, so if I eat my wee biscuit, floats about the bloodstream, the insulin comes along, scoops it up and puts it into the cells where it needs to go, and it gets moved around your body and does what it needs to do. I'm very much simplifying this, but for the sake of this video. And then with type 2, the insulin is still there, but the cells aren't taking it from the insulin. So it's a little bit like going to the nightclub and the bouncer's there. And the bouncer's looking at you and he's like, no, you're not on the list. So you then take a pill that will help the uptake of insulin, and that pill comes along and he's like, mate, they are on the list, they were me. And the insulin gets to come into the cell and take the food with it appropriately the way it should. And the body metabolizes it appropriately. In my case, I don't even have the insulin. I'm never getting in a club, right? It's never happening. So I don't have any insulin on board, and that means that my body can't change the food into the cells the way it's supposed to. But by giving myself insulin, like many people take injections, I'm on an insulin pump. By having that in my bloodstream, it means any of the food that I eat will go into the cells appropriately. Now, that doesn't mean to say that I just eat whatever I like. What type 1 diabetic people should or shouldn't be eating is a balanced, healthy diet, like all of us should be. If I take this and eat it and don't take insulin, I'm gonna feel pretty damn sick because of it, because my body is then like, oh, your blood sugars are really high. And I don't like that. That's not normal, it's abnormal. But if I want the chocolate biscuit, then I have to take the appropriate amount of insulin to have the chocolate biscuit that my body would naturally, normally produce, but doesn't. The thing is, there is a lot more education behind that than I can get into in this one video. It's all about counting your carbohydrates, understanding what's in them, and then actually thinking, right, how much insulin do I need to take for that portion, or for a plate of rice, or for a plate of potatoes, things that are starchy carbohydrates. There are carbohydrates in other things, such as vegetables, but they are much lower, and obviously things like proteins and things like meat do not have carbohydrate in them. So as a whole, I try and eat a healthy and balanced diet, like everybody should eat. I don't eat specifically sugar-free, I don't eat specifically carb low. I eat a little bit of everything because I love food, to be honest with you. But I just need to know that how much insulin I'm going to take for each thing. And I've been doing this for 23 years now. The encyclopedia in my head of carbohydrates is insane. I can look at food and roughly think that's got that many carbohydrates in it. It's just came part and parcel now after 23 years. It's just kind of one of these things. I have grown up doing it, so it's very natural for me to do. But every now and again I do come a cropper, and every now and again I'll be a little bit like, oh, I've never had that before, and maybe I'll overestimate it or I'll underestimate it, but it can be rectified. So all in all, if I'm not eating or drinking, that causes two problems. It causes me to either have low blood sugars initially, but then when the body goes into starvation mode and starts making these ketones, it makes me have really high blood sugars, and it's very, very dangerous. So needless to say, the last few weeks have not been fun, and I have been really, really sick, and that is why I've not been making videos. And I know for a fact that nobody's gonna like chib me up for that. This isn't my job, this is just a kind of hobby for me, but I did want to come on and explain that because I have just been feeling wretched, and I have not wanted to put any makeup on my face. I have not even wanted to get out of bed or wash my hair or do any of the things that seem like nice things to make you feel better. I have wanted to do absolutely fucking nothing. Along with having high blood sugars, you end up with this continuous thirst, you end up, your mouth tastes awful, you are nauseated. It can affect your breathing as well if it does get really bad, like you maybe need to go to hospital, because the way the body works is we breathe in O2 and we breathe off CO2, but if the body isn't metabolizing appropriately the carbohydrates that you're taking in and the ketones are rising, then that CO2 that's in the lungs, it's difficult to breathe off, and then that can become an issue as well. So it's not just as simple as I'm diabetic and I'm not allowed to eat sugar, or I'm diabetic and I ate too many sweets and that's why I got it. This is a disease that is a full-time job, and I already have one of them. So it's a lot of work. It's very, very hard, and I manage it very, very well the majority of the time. But every now and again it just reminds me how human I am, because even though I have never stopped this disease, me doing anything, it's never stopped me from achieving things I wanted to in my life or doing things that I've wanted to do. It also every now and again just kicks me up the fucking ass and reminds me that it's there, and I'm like, oh, like I just would love to be normal. I know that sounds so cheesy because I am fucking normal and one of the most basic bitches you probably know, but every now and again it just gets to a point where you think, wouldn't it be nice not to do this any longer? Wouldn't it be nice just not to have to worry about this? And if I'm sick, I feel sick, but I'm not having to check my blood sugars every hour or my ketone levels every hour in case they start rising, in case I need to go to the hospital, in case I need to go into a syringe driver. Like, it would just be nice to not have to worry about those things, and when you're sick, just lie in your bed and not worry about it. But I can't do that. I need to be on top of it, and I need to continuously monitor it even when I'm feeling absolute shit. It is a full-time job, and I take my hat off to anybody who lives with chronic illness and lives a really well and healthy life like myself, because there's a lot of people out there who struggle with it, not only physically but mentally. It's very, very tough to remind yourself that you are the one that stops yourself from dying, and to be handed that at 12 years old on a plate, like, you can take this injection or you can die. That's not what the person said to me. They were a lot more tactful about it, but that's essentially what I was told. You know, you now have to do this for the rest of your life and monitor it, or this will kill you. I think it's one of the only diseases that I feel has that impact. I know there are diseases that are so much worse than the likes of diabetes, a lot more degenerative, like motor neuron disease, MS sometimes, cystic fibrosis. There are a lot of diseases that are horrible chronic illnesses that I feel would be worse than mine. But maybe people who suffer with those illnesses or live with those illnesses would say to me the way I do, like, I live with it, I'm used to it, it's my normal, it's what's normal for me. But at the same time, there's part of me where I think people who have asthma, for instance, or people who have diseases that are kind of manageable, like diabetes, the difference is you could have, let's just say, an asthma attack, and I'm not belittling asthma at all. You could have really brittle asthma and it could be hellish for you. But generally someone who's got asthma who manages it well, the way I manage my diabetes quite well, they have an inhaler, maybe they take that once a day, maybe they need another one for in case of attacks, maybe they grow out of their asthma even, maybe it gets better as they get older, or maybe it gets worse. Diabetes is one of these ones, especially type 1 diabetes, there's no going away, like it's not going anywhere. And also, if I don't get my insulin, I will die. Like, I will die if I don't take this. I don't think, like, people who are asthma sufferers, yes, they take their inhaler, and yes, if they have a bad attack, they could potentially be in a life-threatening situation. Absolutely. I don't really have that, well, if this happens, it's a matter of if I don't take my insulin, I will die. That is the bottom line of it. And I don't really think there's another chronic illness out there that's quite like that. So, with all that being said and done, that is why I have not had videos up. I kind of already said this, haven't I? That's why I've not had videos up. I've just been dealing with that, looking after myself, taking time to get myself better, which has been so frustrating because I had the good intention that I would have videos all pre-filmed before I went to London. And now the truth is, I don't know if I'm going to manage to do that. I will try my best, but as I've said, like with a full-time job as well and having to go back to work too, things like that has just been a little bit of a nightmare. So I'm going to see how it goes. I hope nobody's going to judge me too much. I'm going to mention a couple of things in my monthly roundup just for what I have been using, because there were a couple of things that I was religiously using before I became sick. First of all, skincare wise, again, the Skin Realist comes into it again, but also this month I've been lifting up the L'Oreal Skin Paradise again and reaching for that. Love the both of them. And then when I became quite unwell, really a lot of the time, if I was going anywhere, if I was leaving the house, Glossier Future Dew was the only thing I was putting on my skin, maybe with a smidgen of this mixed in, but that was it. As for skincare this month, this here from Suarez, this is the thing I picked up. It was in my YESSTYLE haul. It is their Fresh Moment Cleansing Oil. I have been using this, but again, because the last maybe like 2 or 3 weeks I haven't been wearing makeup, I've not really needed to cleanse my face that much. I've just used a CeraVe when I've been in the shower, if I've had a shower, because honestly, don't even ask. There was days, maybe like 2 or 3 days I just didn't wash because I just couldn't get out of bed. It was horrific. So this Fresh Moment Cleansing Oil, this is interesting. There's like little to no scent to this, if I'm honest with you. It's very, it just smells like oil, but it's very effective. I have been enjoying it. It takes the makeup off, no problems, and I think it's very nice, to be honest with you. Will I buy it again? I'm not sure, but it's probably just because I've got other cleansing oils and things that I've enjoyed. I just feel they're a little bit more something about them. They're a little bit more luxurious. There's just something really nice about them. This is just a very plain, easy cleansing oil, but very good for sensitive skin, I suppose, as well, because there is no fragrance in this. And if there is, then my nose must be so blocked that I don't know. Also, I want to talk about this I'm From Rice Toner. This is from Korea. This I've been splashing on my face post cleanse, kind of before I do anything else. Spritz the water on, then a little bit of this, then my serums. I've tried this before, so it won't come as a shock to you that I'm enjoying it, but I have only used maybe up to here on it at the moment, so I can't tell you too much, but I do think this is a really nice toner. It's very good. I just splash it on my hands and then on my face, and I've continued to do that throughout the month, even when I've been feeling my shittest. So thumbs up for that. And lastly, in skincare, I just want to mention the Glossier ones, because I picked these up the other month, and as you can see here, one of them I've got through lots of, one of them I'm maybe 2/3 of the way down, and this one here I have barely touched. So the niacinamide, the super pure, this is this serum here, I have used every single night religiously, with the odd occasion where I've just not bothered with skincare at night because I was too ill. But like this, would pick it up again. I think the formulation is nicer than that, even of the Inky List. But do I think you need to reach out to Glossier or pick this up because the packaging is a bit nicer when the Inky List probably does the same. This also has zinc in it like the ordinary one, but the Inky List doesn't, it's just niacinamide. So that's probably something to think about as well if you have particularly breakout prone skin, because zinc is really good for breakouts. That is not something that I particularly suffer from. So for me, I'll probably go back to the Inky List, but if this was available again, or if I was picking up from Glossier and this was an offer, I would absolutely pick this up again. I think it's a really, really lovely serum. The Super Bounce, this is the hyaluronic acid and vitamin B5 serum. I really enjoy this. Every time I talk about this, I say it and I'm like, I know I'm a goon because there's hundreds of hyaluronic acid serums out there and they all do very much the same thing. But to be honest with you, this is the texture of this one. It's just so, so nice. It's very, very nice. I really, really enjoy it. So for that reason, I feel like I would reach for this one again over some of the other hyaluronic acid serums that I've used before. It is potentially one that I would be tempted to put on like a Santa list or something, and I bought them 3 of them as like a set. So if for instance at Christmas I thought, oh, do you know what, I would like to try them again, I would probably skip out on this one, but I would mention this one to pick up. That's the only thing, like there's these 3 come as a set, and this one, I've said it before and I'll say it again, I just don't think me and vitamin C, it just doesn't fit into my skincare routine. This one I've used the least. It's like here. I have been reaching for it, but to be honest with you, I just feel like the steps in my skincare, vitamin C just doesn't slot into it. I just have a different kind of skincare routine where I do really like niacinamide and I do like hydrators. I like using a hydrating serum. I quite like a peptide serum as well. I just never find the opportune moment to stick in a vitamin C in the steps. And I don't want to have a 10-step skincare routine. I like it to keep it quite simple. So I will continue to use this up. I will finish it and I will let you know, but I probably wouldn't pick this one up again. Not because it's not a nice serum, but just because I won't use it. Alright, so for makeup, I mentioned some of the skin products I was putting on days where I felt well enough to do that. But makeup has been very few and far between, especially in the last 2 or 3 weeks. So for that reason, I'm just going to let you know what I've been using kind of religiously. So pre me becoming quite unwell, and then even on days like today where I thought I'm going to put on a little something, or when I went and got my hair cut the other week, I needed to put a little something on my face because I was like a ghost. And these are the products that I've been going to for a very simple look. I will do a wearable Wednesday. It will be up probably next Wednesday. But basically I've got a K-beauty one to go up because, as I said, I've got a bit of a backlog now because I wasn't well enough to upload and kind of edit videos. So a K-beauty one will be coming up from my YESSTYLE haul. Then there will be a wearable Wednesday with this look as well, including some of these products. So keep self posted, subscribe if you want to see them. That would be smashing grand and great, thank you. But the Vive bronzer, the modern bronzer, I fucking love it. I really like it. I'm so annoyed with myself because, you know, they can be a bit hit or miss. It is a little overpriced. It looks a little Victoria Beckham. It looks like her one. But the annoying thing about it for me is that this one here, this is medium 1 and medium 2. I do not use this. I wish so much that she would give the option of mixing and matching these colours, or that you can put in a blush with this. Like use one of the Vive blushers next to this one, and I would take this beautiful, absolutely stunning compact with me to London next week. But it's not an option yet, and I'm just like, come on Jamie, get on with it. But that has constantly been on my face. If not that, then I've been using the Glossier Solar Paint, and again using the two of them together quite a lot as well. So today I have both on my face to give me some sort of looking colour and health back to my face, because I promise you I am as pale as they come right now. I was really hoping I would get to do the Vita Liberata kind of self-tan trials as well, and the tanning drops that I got from Beauty Pie. I was hoping I would get to do all that before I went to London. I would get all these pre-film videos up for you, but it has just been about taking care of myself for a couple of weeks there, and I'm so sorry. I don't even really know why I'm apologising, because life is life and things like this happen and it's got to happen. I will do them again in future. I don't know if it's getting maybe a bit late in the year for tanning videos now. Let me know what you think. If you still want to hear about it, then let me know. If not, then maybe I'll do one in the lead up to Christmas when you'll be going on a night out or something like that, to let you know what the self-tan trials are like on the Vita Liberata or the Bondi Sands. But cheeks wise, what's been on my cheeks, again, the Spectrum Pinch Pots, and this one is Joyful. This is my favourite one. This is the one that I've kind of raved about for the last 2 months. I think it's really nice. It's what I've got on today. If I've not had that on, or I don't want something quite as pink as this on, again, being unwell, now that I've been really pale and like sick, I've wanted this one. But before that, this one here from Glossier, this is Dusk in Glossier, and actually it looks like a peachy colour here, but it's a little bit more of a tan colour on my skin. It's much more of a neutral kind of undertone blush, so it doesn't look super peachy like that. Lips today, I've got on this one here from Romand. That was also in my YESSTYLE video, so if you wanted to see me trying this on, it will be in this Get Ready With Me. I think I put it on in the K-Beauty Get Ready With Me, but then I covered it up with something else, so don't fucking worry about it. But this is the one I've got on today. It's a very nice kind of, I would say, my version of nude. So it's not super duper nude, but there's like a pinky, peachy nude almost. You can see there it looks quite pink in the tube, but actually on the lips it looks a little more subtle and a little more nude, and it is a matte. It's very, very comfortable. I also want to mention the Glossier Ultra Lips again. I have Villa and Vesper. The Vesper one, actually, the pink one, I was wearing quite a lot until I became quite sick, and then, as I say, when I was just like, I need to look some sort of health, please, I was putting Vesper on quite a lot. Just a very easy sweep of something on the lip, but just a hint of colour, just a little bit of something. It's like a really nice neutral colour again, and these are lovely and glossy and comfortable on the lip. Vesper is a much more pinky kind of jam toned colour, but very, very nice as well. I really, really like these from Glossier. I think they are very, very nice, very, very wearable and very, very comfortable. But that's kind of it for my monthly roundup. So not a lot in the way of beauty and skincare. I'm sorry about that, but I just wanted to come on and kind of not explain myself, that sounds a bit cheesy, but just come on and be like, hey, I've not been around because I've really not been very fucking well, and I'm very sorry for that. So I apologise. Hopefully normal video resuming will ensue, and we'll see how we go. We'll see if it works. I will try my best to get up some videos for you for the week when I'm away in London. I hopefully would like to do a London vlog as well, because I usually like to do a little vlog whenever I go travelling somewhere, but we will see how I'm feeling. I'm actually just still to this day, like today is Tuesday and I'm supposed to be going to London on Saturday, and I'm still just keeping my fingers crossed that everything maintains, stays stable, and I'm able to go to London, if I'm honest with you, because if it's last minute and we have to pull out, we're going to lose a bit of money because we ain't rich and we can't afford that. So we're just keeping our fingers crossed. But that's where I'm going to leave this one. I would like to say short and sweet, but I think with all the explanation at the start it might be a little bit longer, and I will see you all again in the next one. I think it will be a K-Beauty one, and see you again soon. Bye.